kids. I do see some of you guys at the school. And Miss Evelyn, actually, it's been a while, so it's good seeing you again. I'd like to introduce myself. I was told to introduce myself. My name is Reo Pugao. I am an oral maxillofacial surgeon here at High Desert Oral Facial Surgery here in El Paso. I am local. I married a local girl, and we started in 2011, and it's now ballooned to a 10-man group with a residency and 2 fellowship programs. And one of them head and neck cancer program, and the other one's cleft and craniofacial surgery program, which Dr. Marcel is right now undergoing that training. So at the end of this year, he's going to be way better than me. Right now. Okay. And having said that, it's good seeing you. You look great in clothes. I mean, without scrubs. In other words, so so Dr. Marcel and I actually operate at University Medical Center in El Paso Children's Hospital, which is El Paso. All you guys here should take pride in what El Paso is doing. It's growing. It's providing a lot of stuff. It's bringing in people with different skills and specialties, especially in the medical world. At University Medical Center, used to be Thomason Hospital. It's a level 1 trauma center, and level 1 trauma center is it's the only one here in the region. The closest one next would be Phoenix or Dallas or San Antonio or Amarillo. I don't even know if Amarillo has one. So El Paso has become that center for excellence, and the trauma program here has been very good. And I'll tell you this much: when and it's with the way that things are in the world. Yes, there's good growth, but with good growth also comes with bad growth, obviously. And some of those is just like trauma. When we first started here in 2011, most of the trauma was not that bad, or it's not that often, and it was mostly car accidents. And now it's gone to gunshot wounds, and obviously ATVs too, but it's just increased. And especially with everything going on down south of the border too, it's become like a border wall fall too. Unfortunate people like that, we have to help them out as such. Now, when the trauma happens, in every hospital, there's a big trauma bay. It's a big room, and then what happens is when a patient comes in, there's already a team receiving that patient. They're called the trauma team, and maybe 10, 12, who knows how many people are in there. And each one of those have his designated job. And what they do is they come in, do a primary survey. Primary survey meaning they turn a patient upside down or inside out or from head to toe, evaluate them to see if there's something that is life-threatening to the patient that needs intervention right away, whether it's resuscitation or whether it's a surgical intervention right away. That's pretty much what a trauma bay is. That's pretty much what a trauma team is. Each individual in that team has a designated job, has an assigned job, and they're good at it. And when they all work together, it does help create better outcomes for the patient. They're doing their job. With that said, I remember an interview with not me, but listening about it, watching an interview about a certain coach here not here in El Paso, but just here in the United States. He is probably one of the greatest college head coaches in the country. You guys might know who it is. His name is Nick Saban. Nick Saban has, when he was with the Cleveland Browns, there is a quote just out of the exit tunnel for the Browns before they go out and play. And all of this is very simple, quite simple, that yet has a lot of concepts and meaning behind it. And that phrase is, do your job. Do your job. That do your job concept is what enables each individual person who has an assigned task to perform at the highest level consistently, day in and day out. So that way when everybody does that, the outcomes will handle itself and the results will be greater. In other words, to them, it's a win. So Nick Saban talked about this concept of do your job. In fact, there are many core principles in this one little simple sentence of doing that job. I'd like to transfer that or translate that here to this church. You're not a football team, I know that, but you're still a team. You're still a community. And each and every one here has a job. In fact, a lot of you guys probably already know that. In fact, I'll give everybody the benefit of the doubt that not just as Christians, but as Seventh-day Adventists, you know your job. And you probably do your job well. And some of you may not really understand your job, or maybe you may be just now coming up to this job and don't really understand it. But you have a job. And you're expected, in fact, you expect yourself to do good, to excel and perform at a highest level to perform these jobs. Each and every one of you. In fact, so what is that job? Anybody know? What is that job? Let's turn to Joshua 24:14. We can actually read on to 15, but let's just turn to Joshua 24:14. And it says, and I know we're studying Joshua right now, so this is perfect. And it says, now therefore, fear the Lord, serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the river and in Egypt. Serve the Lord. Are you starting to understand what your God is? In fact, let's go on to 15. And if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the river, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you dwell. But as for what? For me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Do your job. Easy enough. And I already said, you guys already know that. Once you made your commitment, you've heard about God, you made a commitment to God, now it's time for you to serve the Lord. But that is not the theme and the topic of this discussion. I just wanted to establish make sure that we all are in sync, that we all understand we all have a job. And that is to serve the Lord. And by the way, serving the Lord has two sides to the coin. There is serving the Lord, studying, getting to know fellowship, praying, anything that enables you to be closer to him. He wants you to be closer to him. That's serving the Lord. In the point that now you're one in mind with him, that you are doing his will. His will on a consistent basis and at the highest level. There's the other side of that job, and it's serving the Lord. But serving the Lord to others. Your job is to serve the Lord to others consistently on a daily basis, and again, to a certain high standard. But again, that is not the theme of what we're talking about. The theme is, how can you keep that up? How can you keep that going? Do your job. You know, one thing about Nick Saban, he has how many championships? Seven national titles. And he's quoted as saying this: once you've established a success, a ritual or a culture of having success, the pressure now is what? To keep it going. And especially in college, when certain players are good, and guess what? They only play for a year and they get recruited into the NFL. He has to recruit more players that will match that, just as good, and buy into the system of doing your job. And he does that every season, day in and out. Every great coaches do that. So how can we do that? How can we serve the Lord on a daily basis, on a consistent level, at such a high standard, on an in and out of your daily lives? So behind that, do your job, there are 4 principles. 4 core principles to help you enable to do your job. So let's dive into that. The first one is, it's obvious. It's focus. Right? Focus. It's easy. Just got to focus on your job. Each individual person here has a job to do, and all you have to do is focus on it. What's the problem with that? What's the opposite of focus? Distraction. I heard it. In fact, Pastor may have talked to you guys about, he could probably give a sermon about distraction not too long ago. Distractions. How easily distracted are you? I am. There are two types of distractions. There's an external distraction, and there's an internal distraction. External distractions like cell phones, maybe Luis's wife, wherever she is, could be the husband, could be children, could be, and I know probably 80% of you guys are already thinking what's behind door potluck, so that way, because I'm hungry. I know, we were just talking about that in Sabbath school. It's easy to be distracted, right? Because you're human. We're curious. In fact, we like to be distracted. Whatever it is on the cell phone, whatever is on social media, whatever is on the news. In fact, the one thing that really could be bothersome is that internal distraction. What's that internal distraction? It's that mind of yours that's talking to you. Here you are, studying the Bible, reading the Bible, being up there and teaching Sabbath school, and in the inside of your mind, you're thinking about, did I wash the clothes yesterday and put it in the dryer? Or you could be having a discussion with your brothers and sisters, and it's about vegetarianism, how it could save you to heaven. Some trigger words. And next thing you know, all you're thinking about is trying to put this fire down instead of what? Serving the Lord. Isn't that how easy that is? To be distracted. In fact, the Lord, or the Bible, is concerned about you, each individual of you, to be distracted. It's that easy. And the Bible's full of key phrases to try to bring you back from being distracted. Words like, set your minds on things above. Be steadfast, but seek first. Press on towards. Looking forward. And then obviously that one word, remember. The Lord is so concerned about us being distracted from doing our job. He knows that. He understood that. So he's filled the scriptures with so many of these words to try to bring you back. And obviously the classic distraction story in the Bible as well. Well, it's like read my mind. Peter, I can't help wondering what would happen had Peter actually walked on water, didn't look around, didn't get bothered, and he actually touched God and stood by God while everybody else is on the boat. Imagine that, just that one little scenario. In fact, he was on the water, right? He was walking that way. He was looking to Christ. Then something in his little mind told him, hey, look around. What's holding you up? Look around. So he took his eyes off. What happened? Everybody knows what happened. He sank. He got distracted. But I can't help thinking, had he kept on going, would he have denied Jesus 3 times? Would he be continuing to preach unto the Jews instead of just the Gentiles? Would he and Paul have conflicts with each other? I like to think that maybe Peter would have been more set and firm in his foundation had he been keeping his eye on Christ. And that was a lesson to learn. So that is focus. And focus is tough. We are human. So how do we keep ourselves focused? Which brings us to the next principle. And that principle is discipline and execution. Actually, we'll just say it's discipline. You got to be disciplined to be focused. I know there's a lot of military guys here. How important is discipline in the military? Very important. That's how you can have outcomes. For example, driven. So, for example, I'm going to go back to Dr. Marcel. I know he's because I know him well. He's operated with me, so I'm going to use him as an example. He is, right now, a fellow of cleft and craniofacial surgery. You know what that means? He operates on babies or kids born with head and facial deformities. That's tough stuff, and that's what he's doing. But he likes that. He likes to do that. I, on the other hand, I'm a little bit more on the adult side of things. That's what I choose. He likes it. He's driven. He wants to learn it. He wants to be good at it. And that's why he's here operating on those with Dr. David Yates. On the other hand, him and I do trauma. And trauma, if you've ever been in any case, it's not like it is in TV shows. Well, kind of. It's not as chaotic. It's still a little bit organized. But it's messy. It's inconvenient. And not that I'm saying we do it all the time, but if you get that call at 2 in the morning, who likes to be called at 2 in the morning? Tell me. I like to see it. If you do, then hey, come on over, be a surgeon. We'd love to have you. I don't. And, beyond common belief, we don't get paid for any of this. But, like Dr. Marcel and I, if we do the trauma, we hear about it. We have to do it. Because we know it's the right thing to do. That's discipline. When you're lazy, you're not motivated, but it's a habit that you know that you have to do it because it's the right thing to do. So you got to be disciplined. Disciplined in being focused in serving the Lord and serving the Lord to others. So we have focus, we have discipline. The next core value, I would say, the next core principle, actually, I just said it. The next core principle, I would say, is value. Establish a value. I'm not talking about monetary systems. I'm not talking about, there's a difference when you are, when other people are saying that, oh, this person is a valued person in our church, versus, I'm pretty valuable at this church. Establish that value. And that value is when your peers, your church community, your brothers and sisters see that you're so focused, you're disciplined in serving the Lord, they will come around, build that camaraderie, build that support. That's the value that I'm talking about. They find value in you enough to work with you. They find value enough because you guys share the same thought in serving the Lord. You guys share the same focus and intensity, the same discipline, and that enables everybody to work better, to work closer together. It's a team. It's a team concept. I find that there's strength in numbers. I have a friend, we actually have a friend, that's not just my friend. And I remember one time, we were just getting to know him, and one of the things he said just caught my attention for a while. It kind of really bothered me. I was distracted. He said, I only make friends who I find value in. Think about that. I only make friends who I find value in. And then his wife goes like, oh, you're lucky he finds you value. What does that mean? I don't understand what that means. Because to me, I was thinking, now he is kind of an entrepreneur, so maybe he was trying to see if he could get some more money to build a business and buy into the stuff. That's what I was thinking in my head. But I can't help thinking, and I haven't talked to him about this, but I can't help thinking what he really meant. That he finds value in people who loves the Lord. Same people who has the same interest in that. Focused and disciplined in serving the Lord and serving the Lord to others. That's at least what I think, that value, establishing that value creates a community that everybody can just buy into the system and work together. That's what Nick Sagan did with his football team. I can't help thinking maybe we could do, that's something we could definitely do in the church too. Find value in your brothers and sisters. They are here to help and support you as much as you are. Therefore, you'll have that harmony in serving the Lord. So the fourth value, or the fourth principle, we have focus, discipline, creating a value, but you also must have a process. Process is more important than the outcome. You know, Ronan, my son, he likes to do everything in his head. When he's doing math problems, he'll just think about it in his head and he'll just write it down. The problem with that, he's 50-50 right at times. Why is that? Because it's all in his head. He's all jumbled, and he's an easily distractible guy. And what I teach him, let's say, I know you got the answer, or I know you have the answer, but it's more important to show how you got to that answer. That is the process over the outcome. And it's so important that you have a process. You have a process to develop. And it's not something that just happens right away. In fact, it takes years of commitment, of focus, and discipline, establishing camaraderie to create this process. Yes, the outcome is still good. Don't get me wrong. And that is whatever the goals of the church are, to have more members, or waiting for the second coming, or being in one with God. But you have to have a process, because these players, when they won national championships, did they just sign up or got drafted or whatever, put on their uniforms, went out there and played, and got to the national championships? No. They had to go through training. They had to go through studying films, day in and day out. So you got to have a process. And the process is more important than the outcome itself. Because if you take care of all that, according to these principles, the outcome will happen. The outcome will be there, and it will be greater than what you would ever expect. Ronan, again, I know every time I speak up here, he's always telling me, Dad, don't use me as an example, it's embarrassing. But Ronan, you're full of object lessons. You are. It's great. We were at a dinosaur day in Wyoming. Some of you guys probably heard about this. It was in Wyoming, eastern Wyoming, and it's during the time of Gillette. It was just last year. And this was a couple months before Gillette. And it was sponsored by Southwestern Adventist University, where I went to church. And the person who heads the day was my biology teacher, Dr. Chadwick. So we went out there for a 4-day digging for dinosaurs. Now, I'm not here to debate whether the earth is flat or round, whether dinosaurs existed, or if they were created, or if they were created after the garden, and that's why the flood happened. I'm not here to discuss that. What I'm going to tell you is that when we were there, we got an orientation. And part of it is that how you're supposed to dig. The ground is very shale, so it's very easy to dig with spatula. And when you hit something hard, you stop. And more than likely, it's either a rock or an actual bone. And it's that whole area at the Hansen Research Center, or the Hansen Ranch, is full of bones. And it's only a meter deep. So but you can't, for example, if you have a square and you see a bone sticking out of the wall, and you can see it, don't touch it. You have to start from the top, work your way down, and keep working your way down until you see the whole part of that bone. Because you may never know if it's connected to another part. So Ronan, he had his own, about this big. And he's digging, and he goes, a bone! And we were like, don't touch it. Don't do anything with it. We gotta work our way down. I will help you. He said, no! He starts digging around for all this stuff and pulls it out. That was a big bone. It was nice. He was like, yes! Mission accomplished. I'm gonna go play. He did. But, so the next 2 days I started working on that area. It came out to be one of the most half-preserved hips of a hadrosaur, had it stayed intact. And I found the rest. So develop a process. Develop a process, and it's more important than the outcome. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I don't know about you guys, but there are things in this world that's just compounding. And maybe because news media has more access, and social media, you have more access to social media or satellite, that we can see everything that's happening in the world. All the more reason that God is asking you to do your job. And to do it with consistency, with excellence, and to the highest standard that He has placed you on. Every one of you. Everyone, not just the pastor, not just the elders, not just the pianist. Each and every one of you has a job. And it's the same job with the same goal. And if everybody could just know the Lord and be in tune with Him, and each and every one of us are at the same levels, in not Him, same level in mind, that we're all willing to do their will. Imagine the stuff that Northeast Church can do. Imagine the stuff. Because some of you are already doing your job. Some of you guys are just now finding out. But you guys are all in this together. And we have to somehow come up with a process to be able to get to the same spot. Serving the Lord is no dead-end job. It's a lifelong process of growth and maturity. Nurturing your relationship with God and sharing Him with others. Hence, you must have the steps to focus, be disciplined, establish a value system that others can rally behind so that you can do your job consistently and execute it at the highest level. Thank you all.
Thank you, Reo. Our closing hymn will be found in our hymnals. If everybody can please stand.